guys, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so it's almost April, and that means that I'm going to get to jump into my spring Hobonichi Cousin soon. I did a video up here talking about how I caved and bought one, if you guys need convincing to get one. And so I wanted to talk about how I am going to be implementing GTD into my Hobonichi Cousin. For those of you guys who are following me, you guys know that I am a big user of GTD, which is the Getting Things Done method by David Allen. I'll link a video up here where I went through the full video on, what it is and how to implement it in your planner and all that, if you guys aren't familiar. But yes, so I've always done it in either a ring planner or in my digital planning. And so this is going to be the first time where I'm actually doing it in a notebook, and I've been thinking about it a lot and kind of starting to set it up. So I just wanted to show you guys in case you guys were interested. So let me just show you what I decided to do. So for me, I am not good at drawing out anything. I'm just not an artist, so I always leverage printables of some sort. But that, of course, is because I have a Etsy shop and I make printable inserts. So if you guys do not want to buy anything, you do not feel like you have to, please take away from this just the system. You don't need the actual materials. You can, of course, draw it in the space that where I'm putting a printable, and I'll show you exactly where I'm putting it and everything. So I just want to preface it by saying that so that you guys don't feel obligated to buy something. So what I've decided to do is I was thinking between do I keep an inbox, like a main inbox at the very back that I'll use for the entire year, or do I have separate inboxes, or how am I going to make this work so that I always have one master list, but one that also doesn't run out, right? Because if I keep one for the full year at the back, it could run out, and then I guess I could tape in another one or whatever, but I just didn't want there to be a whole bunch of tape-ins in one spot because I thought that would get kind of messy. So I've decided to do an inbox at the beginning of each month, and I'm going to explain. I'll also share with you at the end if you're interested and you don't know how to do tip-ins and you're interested, wait till the end of the video and I'll share it there, or you can check out the timestamp. Okay, so before each month, let me just show you a blank page. Let me just show you May. So before each month, you have one of these blank pages, right? It's kind of light, so I'll just show you. So you have this area where you have this blank page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be tipping in an inbox printable in front of each of these sheets. If you don't want to use a printable, you can just tip in a piece of paper. You can even write it on here directly if you're, if you like to write things out or draw designs out, you could just draw it here. But that's what I'm going to do is put a tip-in, a inbox tip-in in front of every monthly page. And my inbox tip-in is really an area where I brain dump all of my thoughts and ideas. People have asked me in the past, why do you have to do an inbox and then go put it into the categories? You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever works for you. The only reason I like to have it on an inbox sometimes is because sometimes I'm just sitting there and I'm just dumping everything out of my head, and I don't want to take the time to be oh, is this a calendar item? Is this a next actions? If it's a next actions, have I broken it down to a one-step task? I just don't want to think about that, or I don't have that time in that moment to do that. So I always like an area to brain dump, and then when I have the time, I like to move it over to my different lists. If you don't want to do it in an inbox, you don't have to. Just skip the step if you don't want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one of these sheets in each of my months. And is there going to be some copying over? Yes, if there's long-term things that I haven't got to, I'm going to have to copy it over because I like to only have one master list. The thought is I typically will fill out an inbox one page by the end of the month, and I'll hopefully have completed most of those tasks so I'm not migrating too much to the next inbox, right? So that's my thought there on how I'm going to do the inbox. And then how am I going to do the next actions in all the various categories, right? Well, for that, I'm going to be doing it through my sticky notes. So I have a sticky notes GTD bundle. And again, if you don't want to get this, you can just use sticky notes and put the title on top. It's very easy. And what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be putting beside my inbox for each month a waiting on section and a project section. I do want to preface this by saying that if you're not familiar with the GTD method, I would highly recommend you check out that video first, because I'm kind of just jumping around, right? But I've been using this method for a long time, so I'm just kind of taking away from it what I need from the system. But if you're just starting out, this might be a bit confusing for you. If it doesn't make sense, go there and then come back. So in that bundle, I just have one for each of the categories. So inbox, next actions, project details, waiting on, oh, that's another next actions, but there's a waiting on, a someday maybe, and then kind of a list form. And so I'm going to put the waiting on here because I'm always waiting on something, and then the projects that I kind of want to complete in that month. So I'm going to have these together, and that way when I'm referencing in my inbox, I can always like quickly see, oh, what am I waiting on for that month, as well as any major projects that I'm going to be working on. So then you might ask, okay, so what are you doing with next actions and what are you doing with someday maybe and reference stuff? So for reference stuff and someday maybe, I have moved all that stuff over to Notion or digitally. If you guys want a Notion walkthrough, a really basic Notion walkthrough, please let me know down below. I'm only using the basics of Notion for now just because it gets too complex for me. But I like to have it there just because like it's a permanent spot. Whenever I'm switching planners, I don't have to worry about losing all that stuff and rewriting it. So I just like it digital. So that's what's going on with those two. So I don't need any of these for that. But if you are one who wants to have it written somewhere, like you can write it on one of these stickies and compile the stickies somewhere at the end of the year. Or of course you can just designate like, you know, one of the pages or whatever for that stuff. But I just find digital is much easier. And then for next actions, what I'm going to be doing is, because next actions is really like the next thing that I should be working on, right? So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be using a next action sticky. So one of these, and then I'm going to put it either on the weekly page or on the daily page. So what I'm going to do is start with the weekly page, and I'm going to write all the next action items that I'm going to plan to do for that week, right? And I'll start it out here. Then because it's on a sticky note, it's really easy to move around, which I love. So if I'm going to be doing a daily page that day, because some days I might not use all the daily pages, I can easily take my sticky note and move it over to my daily page. And then I can easily see it. And, you know, especially if it's like a back-to-back day, I can just stick it on one side and I can see it the next day or whatever, and then keep moving it over, right? So that's what I love about having sticky notes, because I can just move it around and always easily reference it. So that's what I'm going to do for the next actions list. And so it's pretty straightforward. Of course, I haven't started like fully using this planner yet because it's not April. So as I go into it, if I make changes, I'll let you guys know. But I think that's how I'm going to be doing it. And like, that's my plan. And I think it should work out. So I'm really excited about that. If you guys have a different idea, please let us know down below, because I'm new to using like Hobonichi Cousin. So any ideas, I would love to know. I like the thought on sticky notes because like I originally thought like I could make a section on the dailies for waiting on or for next actions. But then like that involves a lot of migration, which I just don't want to deal with. So I figured this was the easiest way. So that's that. And then let me just quickly explain to you how to do these tip-ins. So this tip-in, I actually followed Andrea, who's Straight Plans on Instagram. And the way that she does it, it's so much better than the way I was doing it. So I was using tape, like actual like tape, and, you know, having a piece of tape, putting it onto the edge and then like sticking it in, which is not as clean. The way that she does it is she takes double-sided tape. So something like this, and I can link the one that I have below. This is the Elmer's one, and it works really well, and it's a roller double-sided tape. So what you do is you have your thing that you want to tip in, right? And then you just do a little bit of tape along the edge all the way down, and then you stick it in, like stick it into the binding of your notebook as close to the middle as you could, like as deep as you can, and then you just like rub it along to tape it down. And then once you've taped down that side, you could just make it like a teeny tiny fold or whatever, or even mine, I don't know if you can tell, I haven't even folded it, but it just sticks in so clean. And if you only put a little bit of tape, like you don't even notice it. See? And it sticks in really strong. I can tug on it, no issues like with it falling off. And it just looks great. And it's so clean. So when I close it, like you can barely see that it's there, right? Doesn't that look good? I don't know. I thought her way was just absolutely genius. So that's how I've been doing all my tip-ins now. And, you know, if you're just doing one in front of each month, like it's not that many and it won't ruin the binding and stuff. So love it. That's the way that I would do it. And make sure you go check out Andrea, Straight Plans, on Instagram. I'll link it down below. She has so many good tips. Just, yeah, the way she does her notebooks are just really beautiful. And she has so much good inspo. Anyways, that's all I have for today. If you guys have any questions, comments, whatever you want to see next on the video, let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to check out more GTD videos, I'll link the playlist right here. And then I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.